Welcome back. Republicans are hoping to cut spending with just 2 months to go until the September 30th shutdown deadline. The GOP aiming to pass 12 individual appropriations bills, each funding separate aspects of government. Lawmakers have not done something like this since fiscal year 1997. The Senate is working to pass the first batch of bills over the next few days, meanwhile, with full committee markup still happening in both chambers. Joining me now is Nebraska Congressman Michael Flood. He is the new chairman of the Republican Main Street Caucus. Mr. Chairman, good to see you. Congrats on that, and tell us what your priorities are here today.
Well, obviously, having a balanced budget is something we dream about. When you're $37 trillion in debt, most Americans can't understand. They're like, how did we get here? We haven't had a budget for 25 years. And under Chuck Schumer, they didn't even pass any appropriations bills to the floor, nor did we have any kind of a process that looked like what any family in America does when they balance their books. So I'm hopeful with Republican control of the Senate, Republican control of the House, we can pass our appropriations bills and do this in regular order. But the signals that the Democrats are sending us is we're not willing to play. We're not willing to do this. And what does that tell America? That tells America they want to shut down. That's not good for America. That's not good for Main Street. And that's not good long term for Congress.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's something that I asked the leader of the Senate, John Thune, with me on Sunday. Here's what he said. Watch this.
We are going to need to get appropriations done. That will require some cooperation from the Democrats, and hopefully they will be willing to make sure that the government is funded. We got to do the defense authorization bill. Russia sanctions is something that is on our agenda, and we're kind of working with the White House and coordinating schedules to make sure that we do that at the right time in terms of their negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. But funding the government has to be done before the end of the fiscal year, which is October the 1st.
Do you think Chuck Schumer would like to see a government shutdown come September?
I think he probably thinks that it's beneficial to their political base, the far left of the Democrat Party, and you can kind of see what's happening up there in New York politics. This is a party struggling for an identity. We're going to be waiting to see anxiously what Chuck Schumer and other leaders on the Democrat side decide to do.
This is so odd to me, that Chuck Schumer would want to see a government shutdown. You've got 12 appropriations bills that need to get done. You need to fund the government by the end of September. Are you going to be able to do it?
Well, first of all, look at what happened to Chuck Schumer the last time he did the right thing, which was help us pass a government funding bill in March. The minute he started working with Republicans, he lost 12 percentage points in his approval rating in New York. He picked up AOC as a possible challenger, and he was then threatened by Chris Murphy with his leadership post in the Senate. The Democrats are not in any mood to cooperate. They need to. If they don't cooperate, what happens? The government shuts down, and their nemesis, Donald Trump, gets all the power in Washington in a government shutdown. So it's in their interest, in my opinion, to work with us to find a way through this and pass these bills.
Well, where do you see common ground? What can get done?
Well, I look at, for instance, the National Defense Authorization Act. That's usually a very bipartisan effort. There's a lot of other committees that work in a bipartisan way. Transportation is one of the committees that comes to mind. Financial services. There's a lot of components to the budget that can work in sync, and we can get this done. It will require some compromise, and I think that's important to say to both sides. So if you're a Republican, this isn't reconciliation anymore. You have to come to the table and you have to deal, but you don't give away all of your cards. And I think Democrats have to, at the end of the day, look their constituents in the face and say, hey, we want our priorities in the budget too. There's only one way to get there, and that's get to the table and negotiate.
So, Congressman, you and Senator Mike Rounds sending a letter to Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte on his work on credit risk transfer programs at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, while encouraging further reforms. Tell us what you want to see happen at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
I think the GSEs are going to be a focal point for the subcommittee that I chair, Housing and Insurance. We're talking about having major conversations about their future in Q1 of 2026. We have to introduce competition. We have to make it easier for people to get access to a loan to buy a house, and that's part of what Senator Rounds and I are working on. There's so much work to be done in housing right now. We have a housing crisis in America, and most of it is driven by a lot of the programs programs that blue cities have put together with their zoning, with the environmental reviews, with Davis-Bacon challenges, with the Section 3 requirements. And I'm working in a bipartisan fashion to address all of that. Senator Rounds and I are working hand in glove. I'm also looking forward to working with Senator Tim Scott on some of these reforms. But right now, we are 5 million dwellings short. We have a supply issue on the housing side. We do not have a demand issue, which means no more down payer assistance, no more things that push demand. People are dealing with a supply issue, and we also have rising home insurance premium costs that are crippling a lot of Americans. So that's really at the center of what we're working on.
I see, because we keep seeing owner's equivalent rent as one of the biggest issues with the inflation reports. So you're saying the crisis in housing is more about the shortage in supply and about the cost of insurance?
Absolutely. And the other thing that's driving up those home insurance premiums is this third-party litigation. When somebody in a foreign land can come in and start investing in a personal injury lawsuit in Georgia, and they can gamble by giving that plaintiff's lawyer $1.5 million, and they bank on a $20 million settlement, that's gaming our justice system. And that's actually a bigger risk to home insurance premiums than actually even the weather peril increase that we've seen. So those two things together are driving home insurance premiums up. I talk to a lot of Nebraskans that say, hey, I'm paying more in my property taxes and my home insurance monthly than I'm paying in principal and interest. Yeah. That is a crisis.
It's a great point, Congressman. Thanks very much. We'll cover that. Good to see you. Michael Flood on Capitol Hill. Thank you, sir. We'll be right back.